I started running rivers in 1973. In the early days of a new company and very little restriction, we were doing many rivers. To keep them in your mind as a category that this one is this and this one is this, they all kind of ran together at first. There was so much that you had to get used to, and the equipment was not always as functional as what you hoped it would be. The Dolores set everything else apart. It was tougher than most other trips, but still was a combination of every other trip because of the variety of how the canyons changed, the heritage of the Indian cultures. Sometimes it's so gentle and it's like a gentle rain, and other times it's like being in a thunderstorm. And as a new boatman, those challenges are amplified. There was one gal in particular, Chris Raffin, who came through the guide training and geared up for a 5-day training trip on the Dolores River. That very first night, she set up her tent and camp, and noting that it was going to be a frosty morning in a beautiful camp area on the Dolores. First light, you get up, it's a training trip, and time to get the fire going and get the coffee going. And Chris's tent right over here in the trees, she comes whipping out of her garage sale sleeping bag, and she was covered with feathers. And we're getting the coffee going and kind of shivered, and Mike Ferguson looks up, trip leader that was training us, and he goes, "Look," and she's all covered with feathers and all over her face, and looks like a chicken raper here in our camp. So Chris Raffin, CR, became nicknamed Chicken Raper. And as nicknames go on the river, some stay and they're common, you know, just like mud on the bank. Everybody on the river kind of gets a nickname, and the longer you're there. Well, that was her first trip. As a fairly young company, Rocky Mountain River Expeditions was contacted by the Department of Interior to conduct a Dolores Wild and Scenic River Study trip. Our job basically was to be responsible for getting them from point A to point B, providing the equipment, train boatmen to take them down the Dolores, which had not been run by us or anyone else all that much. So on the Wild and Scenic River Study trip, as we got down to Stateline and looked at it, Mike made the decision. Mike was our trip leader. He said, "Well, I'll go first, and if I make it, run the paddle boat and the other 2 rowing rigs behind them." Let's go. Michael goes. As far as we could tell, he made it. So then the girls went out in the paddle boat next and had, I think, mostly BLM guys on the paddle boat. Well, one of the guys went in and kind of ripped his leg up, and the girls got him back in, and I was behind them. By the time we got down to where Ferguson had pulled over, it was probably a mile. By the time we got grouped back together and knew that we were all okay. We decided after the rescue that Chris made of the BLM guy that we should call that Rapid Chicken Raper. Chris and I became a river romance story, which was wonderful, and moved up to Grand Lake in the fall of '78, and it was April of 1979 that she was diagnosed with a brain tumor. Our focus in life shifted away from rivers. She actually quit breathing in '79, and over the next 3 to 4 years developed bone cancer that went along with it. We married in October of '81, and she lost her battle to cancer in January of 1983. So her memory is a great guide, a wonderful nature-loving person, a lady that worked with abused children as a real job, and shared the river experiences of Chicken Raper on the river as she could, as her health would allow, is all part of the thing that was special to the Dolores River.